If I had a time machine, I would not give a shit about the consequences of present time. Only being because there would be more um, good things to happen than there would be consequences. And I'd be happy to face the consequences, especially if it is all the cause for the human race itself. Tell you a sad, sad truth about the world. And then I'm going to tell you what I'd do about it if I had a time machine. If they ever built one. Or even if I ever built one. Say the government builds one and I get to go into it. Alright. The world itself and history has about 3,000 years missing from it. However, 315 years are missing from the United States history. I was going to get bugged again. Anyways. So, what are those 300 years missing from our history? Very bloody, horrible history. Which is huge reason why my generation after me, and the generation before me all didn't get to learn about that. Oh, you only learned about what? We only learned about what? Trail of Tears, whatever it's called. Because that really was not the bloodiest our ancestors have ever done. It's horrible, too. But what happened? Say, let's go Salem, no, let's go before that. Because you guys are missing so much from history. Let's go to, 1630. Let's go in that. 1630. A colony was trying to expand a little bit more on their territory and whatnot. And they came upon a tribe. Here's the fucked up part. This colony befriended. They befriended and had a nice trade system with these tribes people. Tribes people were the Blackfoot. The Blackfoot. And what's so sad is they get befriended. Literally a decade goes by. Nobody had a problem with it until some freaking fancy dude, some rich dude had a problem with it. And he convinced some sheriff guy to go ahead and send a bunch of men to this tribe, destroying it. Pillage. If you ever heard of pillage, it's kind of like raid. But where's the net? They chopped the bodies. They shot people. Execution style. These poor tribes people were tortured as well. Some were captured, women were raped, then killed. Some even left for dead. Horrible, horrible shit. That's just one example. What made it so bad, really, really bad, was the fact that they didn't just befriend them to befriend them and make some trade system. They wanted to know the way of the lands first and then take them over. Kind of like, I don't know what kind of like. They're just, our ancestors, my ancestors, are fucking pieces of shit. Okay? They really were. Alright. Now let's go to 1710. 1710. Alright, it was even worse. Not only were Native Americans still being captured and whatnot, but they were also being held as either servants or slaves. Know who else were slaves? Guess what? The United States didn't just enslave black people. They enslaved black people and their own. Yes, I said it. Their own kin. Their own flesh and blood. People selling off their own kids to some royal family who has a bunch of slaves. Puts them to work. Many of them died due to fucking malnutrition, disease, mistreatment, even rape. It was horrible. It was disgusting. Okay. And then, here's another thing. Did you know if Abraham Lincoln wasn't assassinated when he was, we wouldn't have this. We still have racism, but we don't have slavery. Thank the fucking gods for that. Really. Abraham Lincoln went ahead and encouraged that shit after his death. That's when the emancipation was put in. But, however, 1962 comes in. Abraham Lincoln is running for his first term as President of the United States. And he's in desperate. And guess who's also in a desperate situation to win not only the war, but also the election? The guy who he was competing against. Here's the crazy thing. Abraham Lincoln's Secretary of War went ahead and he gave this letter to this one colonel guy, said, hey, go assassinate the Confederate leader. He said, okay. Unfortunately, got killed, and luckily, the good guys found it. However, all in the midst of all this other conspiracy, bunch of guys huddled up together, wanted to assassinate Abraham Lincoln. Another letter was issued, but this time to the Confederacy. Confederate officer was found dead, with the note saying about a plan about Abraham Lincoln's assassination, 1962. Well, luckily, because of both of the letters being found, connecting it to people, boom, got it. Funny thing is, John Wilkes Booth was also with one of those guys. The only reason why he was not caught is because he was under a different identity. He was he was a Confederate spy, pretending to be a Union guy, pretty much. Total asshole. But if it wasn't for those letters being found, Abraham Lincoln would have already been assassinated early. And none of that would have even happened at all. Luckily, I should say, fortunately, after his death in 1765, he he got his wish, some type of peace, pretty much. Although it was still highly debated that he had his own slaves, I have this feeling that he was trying to blend in. In other words, secretly paid his slaves. Awesome shit. Shit. Only because of the reason that they were always so clean. And they weren't always at his home. So which tells me they had their own places and came there to kind of, help him out with social status. Because back in that day, having slaves was a very high social status, which is horrible. Shit. These days, you got dogs. It's a very high status. Just to let you know. And it's more positive, that's for sure. What I'm saying here is if I had a time machine for all of this, I would have gone in with guns blazing, man. Witchcraft would fucking be fucking wiped off. The fucking history thing. It would still be said, but would also be a little twisted too since I changed the timeline. Indians would still have their land and we'd be at least allies coexisting, because that's what it should have been in the first place. If like kind of like fucking, because this wasn't my ancestors' home in the first place. You can ask the Vikings that. Before Christopher Columbus came up over here, fucking Vikings came up over here. They weren't racist people, just to let you know. A lot of times they were violent, yes. A lot of times they were war-bound. Yes. They weren't racist. They weren't hurtful. When they came here to cross, just to check out the land here a little bit, they only went on like one good patch of the land and said, "Oh, this is pretty." Met the indigenous people here. They all had a good old time, and they left. That's all she wrote. I'm just saying, still, at the time of 16 something, when the colonists here, we could have gone somewhere else that had no indigenous species. Come on, what about the Galapagos Islands, for example? Could have been right there having the fucking McDonald's on a beautiful beach, man. Been pretty peaceful too, because there's really nothing there. Sure, a lot of animals would do something about it, but hey, we do something about it. Okay. Or something. Shit, still to this day, there's still empty land. I'm one of those people that wants to fucking get up there with the riches just to buy an island on my own. Why? Because I want my own kingdom. I want to make a monarchy that is both democratic and extremely free. No, not liberal. Shut the fuck up. Not even close to liberal or fucking... It's more of just a fair place to be. And the thing is, I want to make something cool of it. And I know I could. But even if it takes me till I'm 80 years old, I'll be king. For sure, for sure. Right now, I am a king of my own home, king of my own property. Right now, that's better than nothing. And I do have a few followers, not just here on YouTube, but many other peoples. And they support this. Well, and I hope you guys here on YouTube support it too. But the whole point of this is I would go in a time machine, fuck the consequences, and destroy everything. Just restart it all. Nope, motherfuckers. Destroy my ancestors. Sure. Now what's the biggest consequences? Consequence? I should say the biggest consequence. I come back and find myself non-existent. In other words, I disappear. I'd fade away. No ancestors. No me. You see, but hey, at least I will get humanity in a peaceful manner. Or at least in a peaceful order. Bam. So, let's look forward to peace, to greatness, to true human potential. All I know all people see is that true human potential is destruction, mayhem, and chaos, and violence, and death. No. That's only just a small fraction of it. There is so much more to it. I've seen it. And the potential is more enlightening than that.